Hello and welcome to the Royal Road School of Carmelite Prayer. We just finished part 2, or chapters 4 through 15, in the Way of Perfection, where Teresa of Avila introduced us to the virtues. In other words, the love of neighbor or charity, detachment, and humility. Now in part 3, specifically chapter 16, Teresa is going to explain the role of the virtues, the important role that they play in spiritual progress towards union with God. Chapter 16. The difference that must lie between the perfection of the life of contemplatives and of those who are simply content with the practice of mental prayer. How is it possible that God may at times raise a distracted soul to perfect contemplation, and the reason for his doing so? This chapter and the following one are very noteworthy. Don't think that I have said all I have to say, for I'm just really setting up the game, as they say. You asked me to mention something about the foundation of prayer. Though God did not lead me by this foundation, for I still don't have these virtues, in other words, charity, humility, and detachment, I know of no other way. I now realize that if you don't know how to set up the pieces for a game of chess, you won't play well. If he doesn't know how to check his opponent's king, he won't know how to checkmate it either. You will reprimand me for speaking about a game we do not even have in this house, nor should we have it. Here you see the kind of mother of God that you have, that God has given you. Though they say that the game is sometimes permissible, how permissible this kind of game will be for us, and how quickly, if we play it often, will we checkmate this divine king, who will not be able to escape, nor will he want to. The queen is the piece that can carry on the best battle in this game, and all the other pieces help. There is no queen like humility for making the king surrender. Humility drew the king from heaven to the womb of the Virgin, and with it, we will draw him to our souls. The one who has more humility will be the one to possess him more. I cannot understand how there could be humility without love, or love without humility. Nor are these two virtues possible without detachment from all creatures. You may wonder why I'm speaking to you about virtues when you have books to teach you about them, and you say you only want to hear about contemplation. Had you asked about meditation, I could have counseled all to practice it, even without the virtues, because it's the basis for acquiring all the virtues. A matter of life and death for all Christians. No one should set it aside if God has awakened him to so great a good. Contemplation is something else, though, daughters. We all make this mistake. If a person spends time reflecting on his sins daily, they right away say that he's a contemplative soul, and so want him to at once possess the virtues a very contemplative soul is obliged to have. And the person himself wants this, but is mistaken. In the beginning, he didn't know how to set up the game. He thought it was enough to know the pieces to checkmate the king. That's impossible. This king only gives himself to those who entirely give themselves to him. Therefore, daughters, if you want to hear about the way that leads to contemplation, you will have to bear with me as I enlarge on some seemingly irrelevant matters that in reality are so important. If you don't want to hear about them or put them into practice, stay with your mental prayer your whole life. For I assure you, and all who aim for true contemplation, that you will not reach it. I now want to explain mental prayer. I fear that mental prayer also involves much labor if the virtues are not obtained, but not in as high a degree as in contemplation. The King of Glory will not unite with your soul if you do not make the effort to gain the great virtues. There are times when God will want to grant a greater favor to someone in a bad state, to draw them out of the devil's hand. Oh my Lord, how often do we make you fight the devil in hand-to-hand combat? What would it be like, daughters, to see him with his darkness next to the sun? What shame we Christians ought to have to make him wrestle arm to arm with so foul a beast. All that is suffered with love is healed again. No other medicine is necessary. Oh my God, grant that I might put medicine like this in all that causes me pain and trial. How eagerly I would suffer these trials if I could be sure to be healed with so soothing a balm. To return to what I was saying, God thinks he can win these souls by these means because he sees that they're completely lost. Though they are in a bad state and lacking in virtues, he gives them spiritual delight, consolation, and tenderness that stirs desires. Sometimes he even places them in contemplation, though rarely, and only for a short while. He does this to see if the favor will cause them to want to prepare themselves to enjoy him often. It's a great evil, though, if they do not prepare themselves and instead attach themselves to earthly things. I hold that there are many to whom God gives this test, but few who prepare themselves for the favor of contemplation. It is certain, though, that those who do not fail will never cease to receive until a very high degree is reached. When we do not give ourselves to him with the same determination with which he gives himself to us, he leaves us in mental prayer and visits us from time to time like servants in his vineyard. But the others are his favorite children. He keeps them by his side. He seats them at his table and shares his food with them. What would it matter when you are in God's arms if the whole world blamed you? He has the power to free you from everything. His love for those who love him is not so small. Consider that he can do all things and we can do nothing. He doesn't enable us to do. What we do for him amounts to really almost nothing, just a little determination. And from that nothing, his Majesty desires us to merit everything. So, let's not be foolish. O Lord, how true all harm comes to us from not keeping our eyes fixed on you. If we would look at nothing but the way, we would soon arrive. We meet with many falls and obstacles and lose the way because we do not keep our eyes on the true way. It seems so new to us. If anyone tells you not to worry about your honor, well, he seems unchristian and says, we're not saints. God deliver us, sisters, when we do something imperfect from saying, well, we're not angels, we're not saints. Though we're not, it is good to think that if we try, we can become saints with God's help. Have no fear that he will fail. if we don't fail. Since we have come here for no other reason, let us get busy. The presumption I would like to see present in this house is to have a holy daring which makes humility grow. God helps the strong, and He shows no partiality. But I have once again digressed. I would like to return to what I was saying before, that is, explaining the nature of mental prayer and of contemplation. May the Lord help me. Amen.